what's happening this week in the world of cryptocurrencies and the financial world in general, let's take a look mainly at what we're seeing in Bitcoin at this very moment. Here we have Bitcoin on the daily chart, and we can see that we continue accumulating for several days at the top of the channel, as we can see up here. For now, Bitcoin, as you can see on the screen, on the daily chart, is showing a lot of strength, a strong desire to break through this all-time high zone, which is around that resistance at $110,000. At the moment, it is respecting it quite well, but we see that there are no strong corrections. In fact, the most it has corrected in recent days, just as I mentioned in the last video I uploaded to the channel, was down to the $100,000 area. The $100,000, as we can see here, coincides with the 50-period moving average, which is this red line we have here on the screen. And of course, it also coincides with a very important psychological level, which is the $100,000, those 5 zeros lined up so neatly, which for now shows me clear strength and a clear bullish trend and bias. So we continue with an upward trend. We remain in the year 2025, where in principle we should continue rising, and several economic events are approaching on the calendar, which could cause this to keep going up. And in fact, I continue to stand firm in my belief that in this year, 2025, we will see new all-time highs sooner than we think. And I even believe that we will end this year with Bitcoin closer to $200,000 than to $100,000. In the end, only time will tell, but ultimately we're not here just to speculate too much, but rather to try to provide some foundation for what I base this kind of theories and analysis on. Above all, on a technical level, I base it on what I just mentioned to you, right? And on what I told you the other day. Once we break through $110,000, we have a clear path up to $120,000. And once we break through that $120,000, which with a strong enough bullish momentum shouldn't be difficult to break. In fact, the long, boring consolidation zone is this one right here that we're experiencing, which we've basically been in since November 11, 2024. All this year, we've been consolidating in this range between $90,000 and $110,000, which so far has been holding up very well. Currently, as I mentioned, we're closer to the resistance zone. And this gives Bitcoin a certain strength so that as soon as it breaks out, as soon as it breaks upward, we could quickly move to that $120,000 zone. And if we attack with enough strength, I don't think we'll be stuck at $120,000 for long. Rather, I believe we could go much higher sooner rather than later. And the next target after $120,000 would be $150,000, meaning a $30,000 increase in Bitcoin's price in just one move, which I think is quite possible. On the other hand, we have even more points in our favor. S&P 500, as you know, is the American index where the 500 most important companies in the United States are listed. And right now we are at 6,000 and something points. So we are practically at new all-time highs again. And we can also see that the S&P 500 is showing a clear bullish tendency that looks strong and seems eager to keep rising. Which means if the traditional market looks like it will keep going up and will probably also end this year well above the previous all-time high, which for the S&P 500 is at 150 points, then obviously this could help pull the cryptocurrency market up as well. Obviously as well, the one that has been pulling more directly, especially in these last few months, showing a clear, more or less similar trend is gold. Gold at this moment is also practically at all-time highs at 3,325 points. The all-time high is practically at 3,500 at the week, but the average is more or less around 3,400 points. So for now, we are at one of the all-time highs, also with a clear bullish bias. Obviously, I don't need to explain much more here. I've mentioned it many times on the channel. Gold is practically at all-time highs for the reasons I've discussed. That is to say, currently, everything related to fiat currency and inflation is having such a huge impact and is becoming more and more noticeable and blatant, especially in strong currencies like the dollar or the euro, where in recent years inflation has had a much greater effect. In other words, in the end, this issue of inflation was something that in recent years or decades we used to see more in other kinds of countries, right? Countries that have experienced, well, insane levels of hyperinflation, you know? For example, as we mentioned here, Argentina, right? Where there has been a constant and aggressive devaluation of their currency to the point that, well, the Argentine peso is basically worthless now, right? So much so that Argentinians themselves have to find ways to get paid in dollars in order to survive and preserve the value of their money, you know? So all this aggressiveness we're seeing in inflation has even spread to currencies as strong as the dollar, the world's main currency, or even the euro, right? Where now inflation is making it increasingly difficult to preserve the value of your money. And all of this obviously affects the world's great billionaires, whose business assets are almost entirely held in these two main currencies, the dollar and the euro. It's true that there are others as well, of course. For example, if we look at China, Japan, or Russia, we can find other types of currencies, but mainly the dollar and the euro are the strongest, and they are being affected. When the two strongest currencies are being affected, you have no choice but to look for an exit, to seek a safe haven. And where do you look for an exit and a safe haven? In a safe haven asset. And who has been the main standard of a safe haven asset for centuries? Obviously, gold. People are seeking refuge in gold, and currently Bitcoin is being considered digital gold, which means it will also have that upward tendency. So in that regard, I feel very calm about everything related to the cryptocurrency sector, especially Bitcoin, and about the fact that it will continue to rise, that we will see new all-time highs again this year. That is to say, my confidence in Bitcoin at this moment is absolute. It is true, as I always say, that in the financial world, there is never 100% certainty about anything. There are always risks, there are always variables, but right now I would dare to say there is a 95% probability based on my analysis, keeping in mind that I don't have a crystal ball. I'm simply an economist. I've been in the cryptocurrency world for 11 years and a bit longer in the financial world, and based on my own analysis, which is not the absolute truth, and I repeat, I don't have a crystal ball. I believe that this is going to keep rising, and I will act accordingly to continue building wealth based on my analysis, just as I have been doing here with you all these years. And my perspective is that Bitcoin is going to keep rising at least throughout this year, 2025, and everything indicates that we are heading in that direction. Important fundamental news that we need to keep in mind today. Today, the United States is meeting with China to reach a somewhat more concrete agreement, especially regarding tariffs and all these macroeconomic issues revolving around the United States and China. This could well provide a bit more clarity on the matter, and we might see the situation between the United States and China ease, which could be bullish in terms of market movement. All of this that we are seeing. On the other hand, Donald Trump has also announced a couple of things. One of them is that he will soon announce the replacement for Jerome Powell, the chairman of the Fed, the Federal Reserve, so that when Jerome Powell's term ends, there will be someone else to take his place. He will announce this person shortly. We already know that there are tensions between Donald Trump and Jerome Powell. They don't get along very well. Donald Trump wants to remove Jerome Powell from his position at the Federal Reserve, and in the coming days, he will announce who will replace him. That's on one hand. On the other hand, we've seen attacks from Donald Trump towards Jerome Powell, where he has accused him of being the reason the economy hasn't fully taken off yet, because he still hasn't lowered interest rates. Trump insists that Powell needs to lower interest rates, pressuring and urging him to do so. He has stated that in other places like Europe, such as the European Central Bank, they have already lowered interest rates about 10 times since the cuts began. However, in the United States, that hasn't happened. And Donald Trump is using all these kinds of attacks to keep pressuring Jerome Powell to lower interest rates. In the end, folks, where there's a will, there's a way. And most likely interest rates will end up being lowered sooner rather than later. As I said, regarding interest rates, right now we know that the next meeting is this very month on June 18th. And at the moment, 99.9% of the odds are that they will neither raise nor lower interest rates. They will remain unchanged. This chart here, as you know, has so far always been 100% accurate. In other words, what we've seen here is exactly what has ended up happening. So I continue to stand by it and still believe that on June 18th, they will keep interest rates unchanged. They won't raise or lower them. Then I mentioned to you, the next meeting is on July 30th. As for July 30th, it depends a bit on all these negotiations that Donald Trump is having with Jerome Powell, but in principle, Jerome Powell is still holding firm on not wanting to lower them. However, as I mentioned to you the other day, this year, Jerome Powell said there would be 3 interest rate cuts, and if they don't lower them in June and July, we would only have 3 meetings left, September 17th, October 28th, and December 10th, where they would have to lower them by at least 25 basis points each time, no matter what. However, Donald Trump has said that he will do everything possible to make sure that Jerome Powell lowers interest rates by a full point, that is 100 basis points, meaning he wants them to be cut by 100 points. Instead of 25 basis points, 25 and another 25, which would add up to 75, he wants interest rates to be lowered by a full point or 100 basis points in this regard. So for now, we just have to wait a little bit. But as I mentioned before, the timing suggests that starting from the middle of this summer, that is after the meeting on July 30th, possibly in August. And as I mentioned in the previous video, something similar happened in 2017, right after the Bitcoin hard fork, which was on August 20th. From August 20th onward, the market began to rise in a relentless bullish rally until the end of that year, setting the all-time high for that cycle. It's possible that this year we might see something very similar happen again. Regarding the topic of ETFs, this past week has been a bit mixed. We've had both inflows and outflows, but there have been more outflows than inflows. It's been a week of correction, but even so, during this correction week, we've seen that it hasn't really affected Bitcoin much. It's true that we had this correction down to the 100,000 zone, but right now we're practically at $106,000. We're still practically untouched, so these liquidity outflows from the ETFs haven't had a very negative impact on the price of Bitcoin. And for now, everything this week points to more liquidity coming in, with more money flowing into Bitcoin and especially into these spot Bitcoin ETFs. Another thing to keep in mind is the options contracts. I've been really surprised that right now the main bet, the winning bet, is at $140,000. I've always shown you this, and it usually tends to be fulfilled or respected quite accurately. That is, I don't know if we're going to reach $140,000 in the next 2 or 3 months during this summer, June, July, and August. But for now, everything points to the main bet being at $140,000. The second is at $115,000 and the third at $120,000. And for the first time since I've been showing you this, we're seeing that the top three bets are, well, above the current price, not just above Bitcoin's current price, which is at $106,000, but also above the all-time high. Bitcoin's all-time high at this moment is at $112,000. The main bet is at $140,000, the second at $115,000, and the third at $120,000. In other words, we're seeing that the top three bets in Bitcoin options contracts are above the all-time high, which is a good sign. It gives us some confidence that we might indeed see Bitcoin surpass its all-time highs in the coming months. On the other hand, let's talk about altcoins. It's what I've always been telling you, right? Right now, we're highly dependent on Ethereum as we continue consolidating here along this green line, which is the 200 period moving average on the daily chart. Ethereum's price is respecting it very well. As I said, for me, the fact that it keeps respecting this level is very good because it means it's gaining strength at that resistance in order to break through it and reposition itself in this area, which is the one we're interested in, this area where once Ethereum gets back above it, we'll see the rest of the altcoins reach the highest prices we've seen this year, right? Roughly around the month of April. In March, and for us, those of us who trade daily, that's going to bring very good profits, considering that we have long-term trading positions, swing trades that can last days, weeks, or even a month, as well as daily trades. All those longs, when they approach that area, are going to give us returns of 10 times, 20 times, even 30 times our investment, given that we've positioned ourselves at the lowest parts of the channel. That is to say, we've recently opened Ethereum positions around this area, just above 1400. We've opened longs in Cardano as well, around the 60 cent area, or even here at 50 cents when it corrected. We've also opened positions in Polkadot at the lowest levels practically. All our positions are open below $4. We also have open positions in Polygon and in Ripple, taking advantage of every correction as well. Although with Ripple, we're doing more swing trading rather than long-term, except for a few trades that we caught here before this breakout, which we entered around the 50 cent area. In fact, in the 10,000 to 1 million challenge, you already saw that our longs in Ripple are at 50 cents or 49 cents. So just imagine the insane profits this little coin is giving us, right? Which for now, as far as long-term trades go, we still have them open. We even partially close a portion to take some profit, but the majority, the largest part of that long is still open, so it can keep growing. And for now, here we take advantage of every correction to open a trade, a swing trading long, right? Which can last, a certain number of days or a certain number of weeks. But mainly, where we really enjoy doing swing trading is with our little friend Bitcoin. You already know that besides just doing swing trading by analyzing supports and resistances, we have Ohana Trading Club VIP, our trading club, where every day our professional trader analyzes the market with you, shares his analysis, his signals, and teaches you how to use bots. You have everything completely free down below in the description, so I recommend that you sign up since it's free for all of you. In other words, all the services we are offering right now are free for you. In fact, Ohana Trading Club VIP has been open for more than 2 years now, always free for all of you. And there you've had a professional trader analyzing the market with you every day, sharing signals, giving live classes where you can join in, ask questions, and learn, which after all is the most important thing, right? Being able to learn, to acquire that knowledge is what will give you the power to make money from your own home. In the end, as I always say, knowledge is power. And ultimately, if you manage to develop those skills that allow you to be at home, sitting comfortably at your computer like I do, making money, then it gives you that freedom everyone longs for, right? The fact of being able to say, wow, I have the freedom to work from my own home, to set my own schedule, to decide if I want to work 1 hour or 12 hours or however many hours you need, to choose when to take breaks, to decide when to take vacations. In the end, that freedom, when you have the knowledge to generate income from your home with your computer and some liquidity, that's what the world of cryptocurrencies trading and digital finance offers you today. So I recommend that you join Ohana Trading Club VIP, completely free for you, and start going for it. You also have several free trading bots which are available within BitGet, and these are green bots. We've actually been using these green bots for almost 2.5 years now, and they've been giving an average daily return of 1%. That is, it's true that there have been days when they've given much more and days when they've given much less, but the average we've maintained for 2.5 years now is 1% per day. With compound growth, you can do the math yourselves and get an idea of what you could potentially earn with these bots. In fact, I'll take this opportunity to tell you a bit about something we're going to start implementing from now on. We're going to do a bit of rebranding for the channel. We're going to give it a breath of fresh air, taking advantage of the fact that I'm moving and that in the coming months, we're going to change the setup and everything since, as I mentioned, I'm moving to another country, new house, new life, new things. So we'll use this life change, this change of setup to give the whole channel a rebranding. You've already seen that we've been changing the channel logo a bit. We've also been creating an avatar based on myself to be able to use it for the thumbnails. We're going to change up everything related to the rebranding and the setup a little. We're going to give the channel a new style so that in the end it becomes much more enjoyable for all of you, right? Since, well, over the past 2 years, I've set the channel aside a bit because, as you know, I'm not a YouTuber. I don't make a living from YouTube. YouTube doesn't support me. This isn't my life. It's not what puts food on the table. It's not what sustains my lifestyle. So I haven't been able to dedicate enough time to it, you know, since, well, I've had to focus on my businesses, my jobs, my investments in order to keep growing in that area, you know. But right now, I'm trying to make a bit more time for all of this. I have everything much more organized and much calmer, and that's going to give me time to create more content for the channel. I'm going to try to make more shorts for the channel. I'm going to try to make more videos. I'm going to make shorter videos instead of lasting, say, 50 minutes, 40 minutes, half an hour videos of 20 minutes, 15 minutes, 10 minutes, and those 1 minute shorts. I'm going to try to have much more active content. Also, thanks to all of this, I have to say that everything related to artificial intelligence has helped me a lot being able to invest in artificial intelligence and in these kinds of structures, which give you a certain freedom and more speed to reach more places without having to depend on other people. Because in the end, as I always tell you in this life, everything you can do on your own will be much better rewarded than anything you can do by teaming up with partners. In the end, at least based on my experience, every partner I've had has betrayed me, lied to me, stolen from me, or scammed me. That is every single 100%. I don't know if it only happens to me or what, but 100% of all the partners, all the people I've ever teamed up with to do something have scammed me, lied to me, or betrayed me. So the final conclusion is do things on your own. Or don't have partners, have employees. I do have employees because in the end, well, they don't put their hand in your pocket. That is, they do their job, they get their salary, everyone's happy, and that's it. But not partners, because in the end they will try to put their hand in your pocket, steal from you, betray you, scam you, and things like that. That which honestly makes you learn your lesson, makes you distrust everyone. And nowadays, being able to trust in artificial intelligence, knowing it won't betray or deceive you well, honestly, that gives me that extra boost, that's something extra to be able to tell you that now I can grow a little more since I have this non-human help, which means it has no intention of betraying or scamming me, so I can keep growing. So regarding artificial intelligence, I have to say that it is opening doors for us, giving us a perspective that we hadn't considered until now, and we're truly seeing its potential and have decided to make the most of it and take full advantage of it. So from now on, you'll notice that there will be some changes on the channel in the rebranding. We're going to make everything a bit more structured, a bit more professional in that regard, at least as much as possible. Obviously, considering the limitation of the time I can dedicate to all of this. But I want to let you know in advance that I'm going to devote more time to everything related to the channel. We're going to open a new Instagram account for the channel, which isn't open yet. The one you see down here in the rebranding, that one got banned, so it's not available at the moment. In fact, we also need to change the banner down here on the channel. We have to restructure things a bit as well. So I'll keep you updated about all of this through the Telegram group. The Telegram group is active Ohana Digital Official. You have the link down below. Join it because that's where I keep you updated on everything. Even if I don't upload a video, I let you know about everything I'm doing there. So I recommend you join. And I just wanted to let you know that from now on, we're going to have some new changes on the channel, which I obviously hope will all be for the better. In the end, they're all improvements for you so that the content is more enjoyable, more productive, easier to follow, and above all, so you can stay more up to date and engaged every day, or at least from Monday to Friday, with all the content that will be uploaded to the channel, including videos, shorts, and then the new Instagram, where we'll also be posting reels, some posts, and other things. We'll be reactivating the whole world of cryptocurrencies a bit, keeping in mind that we believe there's still a long way to go, many opportunities ahead. I know many of you are eager to take advantage of them, and I know you're looking forward to making the most of the financial world, especially cryptocurrencies and investments, so you can try to achieve that freedom for yourselves and your families in the future. So from my end, I'll do everything I can, as I always say. And in the meantime, don't forget to join the Ohana Trading Club VIP so you can get training, learn for free, and start making money in the world of cryptocurrencies. With that, I'll say goodbye. If you enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate it if you give it a like and subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you in the next video. Take care and see you next time.